Hi, guys. Before you get into the next amazing conversation with another amazing guest, I just wanted to tell you I have now moved over to Substack. So it's the Never Settle Podcast.substack.com. The reason I've done that is because of the increase in censorship I am finding on YouTube, and I'm worried that maybe one day they're going to deplatform me. So please head over to Substack and subscribe. I'm very new into it. It's growing. There will be a lot more content on there going forwards and hope to see you over there.
Well, hello, lovely listeners. Welcome, viewers. Today, I have back by popular demand the wonderful Mikey P, who is donning his beret today, coming at us from an undisclosed location somewhere in the world. I'm not sure where Mikey is right now, but he was keen to come and share some valuable information and set some records straight, I think. So thank you so much, Mikey, for being here today. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you for having me. And I thought I'd don the berry because it's sort of become a bit of a feature of this little funny character that runs around talking to bailiffs.
Yeah.
And
So just for anybody that doesn't know Mikey, which I can't imagine there's many now, you've basically been chased, for want of a better phrase, by the boys in blue for quite a few years now. And we were just chatting before I hit record, and really all sort of started when you went to a jibber jab centre back in the day, and you believe that you trying to help various people do various things to protect themselves got you flagged onto the watch list, and so they've been gunning for you pretty much ever since.
well,
Um,
it goes back further than the jab centres. This all started. I started to wake up after putting down the bottle in 2020. So 2021, I come out of rehab, and then I just started looking at things and slowly but surely waking up to the shenanigans. Then it got to the point I found out about the bioweapon. So I went and bought myself a berry, molded it really shit, went down a vaccine centre and started to try and stop people getting jabbed. Then ended up going on a couple of marches and what have you. But I used to drive around in my little car doing my little videos and popping around everywhere, and they would sort of pop up everywhere. And that's when sort of people started to get to know who I am. Now, one of the other things I was doing parallel to that was traveling around with what I considered a friend back then. He screwed me over, stole silver off me. We was traveling around the country, training on council tax and this sort of stuff. And part of the training there was how to defend the property, your rights, and all the usual stuff that goes around that, basically. So off the back of that, they had me flagged early doors as traveling the country doing police hate speech. And the original job where I was definitely flagged was in Avon and Somerset. We was on a job. I was with a peace constable. I wasn't one back then, still not now. And we went there to get some paperwork, but I'm pretty sure that was a setup. The whole thing, way that happened there, and when the police lifted me there, they pulled out my wallet, pulled out an ID, and said, "Yeah, that's him." So they already had me flagged. Um, and yeah, it's kind of just escalated from there. Because obviously I started popping up on more videos, and then I started, I just started popping up more and more. Essentially, Mel, I've had warrants after me since my birthday, 2022. The only time I've not had a warrant after me is when I was unlawfully remanded for 5 days, unlawfully remanded for 75 days, another 65 days, and about 4 months after that until I went to represent someone in court, which is what this latest shit show's about. So yeah, it's been I've just predominantly had warrants after me since 2022. Really, great.
okay. Right. So, what do you want to sort of focus on today mainly? I know you've sent me over a redacted document, which at some point we're going to share.
Yeah,
So what's the main thing that you want to sort of focus on today?
I just want to know. I just want to get out there. I want everyone. Everyone needs to start to intimately understand what's affecting me is going to affect everybody else. It's just they're getting the noisy slaves first, and that's including people exposing the mortgage fraud, like good self and others, people exposing utilities, all the people that took on the battle. They're gunning for them first as part of this agenda 2030, which I must encourage people to go onto the WEF website and go onto the who's the other one, the Who, and just check out they're garbaging because of if garbaging is the word. Because there is an agenda at play, and they intend to not anybody owns anything anyway. You don't own your house. You don't own it. You actually don't own anything you think you own. But what's happened over a course of things with yourself and Yvonne Watson, what's finally been established is there's a gap jurisdiction. This is the big thing people need to really get their head around. There is a separation between your naming capitals and with the title, Mr. or Mrs., and the lowercase format. There's a difference here, guys. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact based on the Yvonne Watson case with Heather Searle, the judge, the district judge in Newcastle on the 6th of June, was it, or something like that? And it was a gap jurisdiction. It was judged that the living woman, right, has no liabilities over the full capital name. So people really need to pay attention to this. Now, whilst you're watching this, people, if you're not aware of this kind of fraud, go and grab pretty much any bill, right? A utility bill, a council tax bill, even your doctors. All this correspondence is in full capitals. What is the relevance of this? There's only 3 things in the English language in capitals, and that's finger spelling, acronyms, and corporations. So in this instance, it's a corporation. So everyone thinks it's a conspiracy theory and the Sesquive and all this stuff, but you have to ask the question, why did a judge judge it as a gap jurisdiction and state that the living woman has no liability over the full cap's name? If you don't know anything else about anything else, people, that must just trigger something in the back of your mind that something's amiss here. It's the dead. This is what it's about. We're killed off at birth. Essentially, the big brother, our placenta's sacrificed, and it's resurrected as the certified copy of entry, if you like, as the full cap's name. And that's what's going on there, guys. And then we've got the world debt. What is the world debt? The world debt is from your signature. To sign, to take the G out for God, is to sin. All right? Because you're attaching your soul to the legal fiction. That is your identifier, your thumbprint. That's all you need. Is that coherent so far?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've lost myself already. Jump in, Mel. Cut in there.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So for those that don't know, so Yvonne Watson was the I call her the light of the north. She was the one where the judge, after she said everything, basically said, "Can I come and give you a hug?" Which is unheard of in a courtroom, especially in an administrative courtroom. And that judge recognised Yvonne as the living woman, and also recognised all of her witnesses and support that came with her that day as living men and women, and acknowledged that there's a gap jurisdiction between the legal fiction, which is your certified copy of an entry, commonly known as your birth certificate, and you, the living soul, the living woman, the living man. I did something similar in court, and it was recognised. However, it doesn't. Right now, I'm still working on some things in terms of that bankruptcy is still there against the legal fiction. So, having stepped away from the legal fiction, that doesn't mean they're going to stop doing what they're doing. So that's something. That's another challenge to take on for me. But essentially, it was recognised in the court, and there is this gap jurisdiction. So a judge cannot go against a living man or woman or a living soul. So why has this become so important for you, Mikey, in terms of, because I know that it had a massive impact on you and you loved Yvonne's prayer, and what trajectory has that set you on since that happened?
Well, to be honest, what an inspiration that woman is. She has led by the way. She really is the light of the north. I realised something with that, and I realised this. Now, we're all subject to the biological satanical program, and it's all set up so we get triggered into our emotional minds. We get triggered into our childhood traumas. And then what we constantly do without realising it from the subconscious level, we recreate conditions to try and resolve childhood traumas. Especially like the likes of me, when I've been diagnosed with PTSD because of the police from the harsh persecution this last sort of 4 years or whatever, 3-4 years. So I can slip into anger, or have done quite quickly. Now, what I've realised was, like my Chester case, I believe that Everett on that case give me a couple of olive branches, and all I'd done was took him off him and whipped him on the bum with them, rather than actually take him for what it was. And I believe what's going on, she's done this from the correct frequency. She's done this from a place of love. I was operating from a place of anger and frustration. This is the difference. So karmically, because don't forget, these are all Freemasons, are all into their satanic stuff. They're all into the Hermetic principles, so that they believe in karma and all this is real. And karma is not just the bad thing. Karma is basically what you put out, you're getting back. It's just a natural law. You can't argue with it. So I believe what's gone on there, what's going to happen are these judges that aren't judges, by the way, they're cashiers, which I'll explain in a minute.
Yeah.
They're mirroring the person in front of them. Like I say, person, the living man or woman in front of them. But that's what's going on. They're mirroring the man or woman in front of them. So I got mirrored, and he turned into a complete twat with me. Can't really blame him. Off me, like I had to kind of do a close lip in the background to force a cost here, where he literally offered me my bus fare home. So that's how much I pissed him off. Whereas Yvonne Watson, she's dealt with his love, the way she writes her letters, which are beautiful, and just the whole way she operates from that place of love. And they've mirrored that. And then I think that's put the judge in a position. Either there's good judges placed about, which I think is another theory, and those with the open mind and therefore the eyes to see are picking up these little trinkets. You've got the Yvonne Watson case, you've got the Mazur judgment. And then what my brain does is sews these together, because there's something in this, guys. What the Mazur judgment's done, if people aren't aware about that, my understanding of that, it kind of screws the liability orders for the council. It screws everything, because people have to have the qualification and the authorization to be signing things. It kind of backs up what we already know about warrants and what have you.
What's the Mazur's judgment? Sorry.
To be honest, I kind of wish I didn't mention it now, because I need to get a bit more versed in it. The Mazur judgment, I think this was to do with council tax, and it was a High Court judgment not long ago, and it was to do with, let me get my words right. Basically, you can't just have any old dickhead, like they're doing, printing off the warrants and or going to whatever, hiring a courtroom or a room in this building, and like paying 50p, whatever, just authorizing it. There has to be a person there who's liable, which is what we've always been saying. There has to be a name attached to the office for liability purposes, and that's even under their rules in the Civil Service Code, 7 Nolan principles, accountability, transparency, all this stuff, which there's not. What are you going to see, peeps? Look at your summonses when they summon your corpse from the places like the magistrates.
Yes.
So basically, we sew those two pieces together. But now let's also look at, let's use council tax as a prime example. I think this is the one thing everybody, whether you're vaxxer, anti-vaxxer, consider yourself awake, asleep, whatever you think you are, it doesn't matter. We all shit and bleed. Look at your council tax bill, right? What format is that in? Is that in lowercase or capitals? All right. Does it have Mr. or Mrs. on it? Because if it's got Mr. or Mrs. on it, it's still coming under the capitals. It still goes all the way back down to your certified copy of entry and your, I suppose, your national insurance number, which we accidentally signed up to and we joined it again. So start looking at this, guys. If it's got Mr. on it, if it's got full capitals, that's not you. This is where the Yvonne Watson case comes in. It's a gap jurisdiction. You've got no liability over that thing. But then it begs the question, why have they got that thing going? Because it seems pointless, right? Now, this is where you got to ask, this Sesquivy thing, is there some reality in this then? Because of obviously they're getting, otherwise, what will be the point of this Ford with the full cap's name? So that's worth a little inquiry. But I don't want to go too much about the Sesquivy because it puts people off. The big thing to look at there, all right, the full cap. So let me get my head together here. You got, basically the full cap's name combined with the liability orders. Now, when you're looking at this paperwork, there's no signature on it. There's no man or woman attaching their name to the office. This is purely corporation versus corporation. The magistrates court, bearing in mind, the Castle Doctrine, all administration courts got dissolved in 2008. We ain't got none. They are all ghost courts. These judges are not judges. They're not stood on the oath. And if they are, it's not that oath. They're in breach of their judge's oath because they're subverted the Constitution, which is high treason, and therefore renders all legislation void anyway. They're going against their Masonic oath to the Grand Architect. They're there to live and abide by the Constitution and where they live. Then they've got whatever secret society oath they've got with the Bar Society of which was created to tap up your Sesquivy account. This account in the background they created when you're born.
There is something. So, like some education I've been having over the last few weeks, that being recognised as a living soul or living woman in the court only takes you so far, because we know how corrupt the system is, etc., etc. Right? So that system that's been in place a long old time isn't just going to go away. You might get the odd judge that says, yeah, I acknowledge you, I recognize you. But then what happens next? Because we all know that the court is a pantomime anyway, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's what happens in between hearings and all of that
yeah.
continues. And I'm trying to get my head together now in terms of how best to explain this. But if you take yourself out as
Yeah.
and declare yourself as the living soul, and that gets recognized by maybe one judge, you know, you've still got a whole corrupt system around it that may not acknowledge that. So you have to, but also on that legal fiction still stands with all of the supposed liabilities attached to it. And if you take yourself out of the system as a living soul without really backing it up, then they will still keep gunning for the legal fiction, which will still impact the living soul, right?
Yeah.
No matter whether you stand true in, and it could be that, you know, if you have true faith that God will win in the end, you know, and no matter what gets thrown at you,
Yeah.
it will all come good in the end.
Yeah.
But that's a very scary place for most people to be, especially if the faith isn't strong enough. So there is a way around being able to be that living soul and also take control of your legal fiction. I don't know whether you've gone more into that yourself.
I haven't. If you like, what they're doing at the magistrates' courts, they're floating you between the private and the public, is what they're doing there, and they think you don't know about it. Now, I've called all this out. I called it out all through the Taunton stuff on that case, and the bitch ignored me. And I've been calling it out through all of this. You're going to see on that document you're going to share, I've kind of consolidated all my correspondence with them, and it's irrefutable. And I've referred to Yvonne Watson's case and everything else, and it's irrefutable. They've got no joinder here, because again, this whole legal thing, they're going after the full cap's name. There is no wrongdoing under the common law, which was invented so we can, which basically common law and the Constitution, they're there basically to underlie or back up, if you like, natural law. If it goes against natural law, it's void from the get-go, and that includes the Constitution. It includes the common law. Now, two things here: we are the divine trust. God is the creator. Oh God, I've forgotten the words. God is the guarantor. If you like, now what are they called? Absolute brain fart. What's wrong with me this morning? Yeah, God is like the guarantor, the creator. I am the beneficiary, and my soul is the trustee, and that is why we are the divine trust, and that's why individually all our bodies are God's temple. And I highly recommend people look into the Joseph Murphy stuff, into the correct way of praying, which is the true teachings of Jesus, because it's not about going to any external force, it's about going within, and by going within we affect what's going externally, which again is another thing that happened with the Yvonne Watson case. That's number one. There was the other thing when I was doing my split thing there, but I forgot what that one was.
So you were talking about the God thing, and were you looking for the word executor? Is God the
executor? That's the one. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
God's the executor. I am the beneficiary. My soul is the trustee. It doesn't get to use nothing.
Yeah.
It's just there. And that is the divine trust.
And you were talking about that through common law as well. Common law was invented for man, but it's sort of...
Yeah, that's the one. That's the split thing. So common law is so we can defend our mind, our body, and our property. And this is where the castle doctrine comes in. And I'll have you know, the right to bear arms, that's never actually been lawfully removed. That still stands very much in the Constitution. And very much under natural law, that we have the right to defend ourselves, others, and our property, and that's irrefutable. And this is why I never got done with the Chester case, when I told them literally there'll be no peaceful entry. I will defend the property up to and including death, and I fucking meant it. And I'll fill weapons if I use the need. And that's why they couldn't really get me on that, because I didn't make any threats. I stood on the castle doctrine. People need to understand, right? When there's not loads of complication here. When you've got, you don't need to be like the road fucking psycho. You need two signs. That's it. You can put more if you want, like your fee schedules, this, that, and the other, but you only need two signs: private property, and implied right of access removed. I've got the case law on this as well. Even the king can't enter. As soon as it's private property, implied access removed, you are to the UK a foreign jurisdiction. Forget the waters and the borders and all this shit. Yeah, jurisdictions exist on a piece of paper. The UK is not a country; it's a corporation. Britain is not a country; it's a corporation. We don't want to be UK, and we don't want to be Britain either. We don't want to be any of those. It's England, it's Scotland, and it's Wales. Period.
Some people say England's a corporation as well. What do you think on that?
You've got the land of England, and I've no doubt somewhere along the line, if you look around, someone's probably incorporated England somewhere as well. But the land of England, sorry, it is the land of. Yeah. And this is where we're from. This is like when you're setting up your trust with your transferable land. That's why mine's based on a kilo of silver and my avatar, because this comes from the earth as well. So this actually belongs now to my private trust. It never belonged to me anyway. I just get to borrow this. This is from the creator. I just get to utilize it and bugger it up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So in terms of this document that you've shared with me,
yes,
what is this pertaining to before I share it?
It's basically a consolidation of, let me pull up my document. Let me skim over it. What was everyone messaging me? Piss off.
You want me to share the screen and
yeah, no, you can do. You've got the redacted version. So yeah, if you want to share it on the screen, that'd be spot on.
The redacted version, yeah.
So let me explain what I've done here, because obviously I can't go anymore with this judge. This judge has ignored all correspondence, right? The MOJ come back to me with some garbled shite about how you was hassling to get the judge's name. Fucking right I was. And just absolutely, bearing in mind, I supplied these people their own DUNS number. I proved that HMCTS is a for-profit corporation. I've called it all out that they've got no jurisdiction, yet they're still gunning for me. It's kind of crazy. So ultimately, this is going to come to a head when I'm actually in the court and I've got my sword out, my sword being my words, blah, blah, blah. So, right. So let me talk you through this document, right? This is kind of consolidated what's happening. It's the end of the road. It's like basically they've not listened to anything. So this is just my ultimate. This is who I am. This is my position. Fuck off in the politest possible way. Kind of things I want to highlight on my document. I'll let everyone look through it in their own time. But the language of God's truth in syntax grammar, which is a bit of a contentious one to get into. In syntax grammar, syntax. Think about the language, right? And this is how they're tricking us with hocus pocus. The reason I've done language God's truth, which I recommend everybody does on their paperwork, is under syntax. That is as in like in equity, we're speaking as we mean it, just as the layman, as a normal man, nothing more, nothing less. What they do, because you've got different languages in all the different jurisdictions in your maritime and this, that, and the other, they commit syntax grammar fraud on every single document they ever create, based on the fact they talk hocus pocus, which is a actual term, because they're blending the language to trick us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this is why the God's truth statement, I feel, is so important on any and every document. Then obviously I've got my house stamps there and my thumbprint. Now, the reason I got my thumbprint and just my first name there, they got it anyway, the police have. That's all we need as an identifier, guys, is that our Christian name is our first name. If you look at your certified copy of entry, certainly those after 1967, what you're going to find is you've got your first name, you got your middle name, and then your surname is in capitals. That's when they incorporate it. Now, this is the date of birth. This is the birth you want to give them if they lift you. The third date on your certified copy of entry. The first date is your born date. All right. Although the day you was created is the date of the Zeitgeist, and we don't know that. So for me, it's probably around New Year's because my birthday started September. So I think I was probably a drunken shag. But anyway, it could be an accident. Who knows? So why do I do my little liners? I'll throw myself off thingy. Right, put me back on track. Put me back on track.
Yeah. So you said there's 3 dates on the birth certificate.
Yeah. The first one's your born date. Second one's when your dad grasses you up because he becomes an informant and a snitch, and that's when your mum signs you up to the private UK corporation, not knowing she's doing any wrong, because the register is to register. To register is the keeper and seller of livestock. Basically they give you the estate. The third date, that is the date of the start of your Sesquibee account. That's the date. That's the date you want to give them, so all the dates don't line up. When they're creating all these different bonds, like your warrants, which is essentially a bond, and everything they're doing is all about leaning on the estate. Again, I want to reiterate, I did on the channel the other day, the correct paperwork to go with the bond, which is a check, which the cashier, the judge, holds on to, even though it's the clerk that's actually running that bank. All right, the bank, yeah. So the currency can flow, all that terminology they've got going on there, the dock and all this. It's all maritime shite, guys. It's just all maritime shite. So the check, the warrant, it should be the warrant, the lien against the estate, the full cap's name, the assessment, and the value of the assessment. I've got a feeling there might be one more document, but that's the main document you have with it. So there's a value to this. A warrant is worth money, guys. Technically, we can endorse that and get rid of it with a thumbprint, but they don't give you the opportunity because they don't want you to know this. The other thing they do with these court things, they create bonds. There's an appearance bond, a performance bond, and something else bond. We don't endorse these, so they endorse these. And this is how they're cashing in, guys. This is how they're using their full cap's name, because this is what they do when they're going up the ladder. They'll do the full cap's name, take control of that, and then utilizing that corporation set up there, they will send away your bonds to the treasury, and they return twice of the value in fiat currency back. And that's how they get an asset rich. All roads lead to the Sescovy and the children, and then with the money created there, which is all like money's bullshit, then with that they get an asset rich, and then they're buying all the fields, and they're buying everything, and they're taking over and taking total control. And this is how the 1% of parasites are doing it.
When you say the Treasury, you mean the Treasury in the US or?
No, UK. We got our own version, haven't we? What's it called? Is it the Treasury? What's our one called?
Bank of England?
No, it's not English, the Bank of England, is it? It is the Treasury or something. It is whatever it's called. I think it's called the Treasury still.
Okay.
I forget. It'll pop up to me once the interview's finished.
Okay.
But either way, this is how they're doing it. It's literally all about just stripping us of everything. If you think about it, we live in debt slavery, guys. Every single thing we do. Your driving license is a lie that makes sense. You never had to sign up to that. There's no law saying you need a driving license. They made this up. A license is for commerce. You only need a license if you're like a taxi driver, a bus driver, that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you're a traveller. It's all and this is where they tricked us with the language, guys. So we volunteer for that. We then volunteer to pay tax we don't have to pay. Tax is attached to your full cap's name. Notice when you sign up or start a company, no matter how you write it, it splits it back in full caps. Yeah, just like how they're dealing with us, because they're not dealing with us, dealing with the corporation. Next time you go traveling, people, have a look at your paperwork in the small print. All you're doing is transporting the person about. That's all the person being the passport. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Okay, so this declaration of standing, where did you send this?
So this is now gone to this has gone to the judge in the matter, the dishonourable Gwyn Jones, who wouldn't reset a date, and then there was crap. And I also sent a copy with a nice little covering letter to let's name drop, shall we? To what's his name? Acting Sergeant Daniel Wright, the up and coming Freemason, no doubt, up in Hexham, who keeps knocking on my mate's door thinking I'm there when I'm not there. How many times I've got to tell you? He's the one I was going to add myself into. But he keeps coming. And again, the dates they're coming. When did he go and knock on my mate's door? On the 1st of the 11th, 2025, which is 119 inverted 911. And then on the day before, I think the 5/11 date, which is another one of their days, and the full moon for energy harvesting. So they're doing this for energy harvesting purposes, guys, because they're satanic freaks. And this is crazy. He knows I'm not up. I'm pretty sure he knows I'm not up there. But they do that because then, and do you notice, guys, on these dates, on these full moons, and on their certain dates, this is when they pump out bad news. They've done it all the way through the COVID and everything else. And they'll stand in Parliament, spit out bad news, and then harness your energy, guys. Because when it boils down to it, it's a spiritual war, and we're essentially their batteries, and they're bleeding the drive of our energy from every format. Everything's energy. Yeah. And then all money, essentially, money, all that is a control mechanism. The only really intrinsic value to money is the fear. Because of the only thing that creates the money is our signature, remember, because we signed, so we sinned, and they're lifting these signatures and they're creating promissory notes and they're floating them on the stock market. And this is the mortgage argument. So that document, that original contract, no one can produce because it's already been floated on the stock market.
So you mentioned something there, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll bring you back to that.
Yeah.
The last time you were on here, you were about to hand yourself in, and then you didn't. So why didn't you? What changed?
Do you know what, Mel? It was a stressful time. I was going through a lot of my dad and that as well at the time, and all this lot. And it's just, you know what? It was a bit of a shock horror. I thought I was tucked out safe, and before you know it, there's old Bill knocking and all this stuff. and hunting me down and closing down hard. And my arse fell out, if I'm honest, Mel. So my initial reaction was, you know what, I just need to end this. And I said, and then I got a call off the copper, so I arranged to have myself in a week later, and I give my because that was my emotional side reaction, if you like, and my logical mind got time to catch up along with my soul, and I just couldn't do it, Mel. It's just the wrong thing to do because you've got all these dickheads on all these posts going, "Oh, hand yourself in, be honourable." I'm the only one being honourable, people. I've offered to let's reset the date and all this lot, and I'll hand myself in and blah blah blah, and we'll go through the motions under duress, and he still wouldn't do it, guys. I can't hand myself in because I know it's fraud. I am not the legal fiction. I have not committed a crime. They've not even followed their own procedure rules. So why the fuck would I hand myself in? I've done this dance before, people, and it cost me 70 days unlawfully remanded. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I've still not had remedy for that. I'm still trying to fight the remedy. And them solicitors, because understand all of these are on their side, not ours, including the solicitor, I'm convinced, is representing me at the moment to try and get some compensation back just from 4 of my cases. They're not taking on a load more of my cases. They've been got to clearly. So at the moment, I'm tying them up in their own rules because obviously they can't pick and choose what cases they take on. And I'm mastering the art. I'm trying to help them with my AI. I'm staying away from the Constitution with them, and I'm respecting the fact their hands are tied. But I'm trying to force them to use their rules in their system to go and get me what I'm owed. Because I'm taking no less than £10,000 per fucking arrest, and there's 11 unlawful arrests over the last 4 years. 11 unlawful arrests, 5 days remanded, 75 days remanded, 2 cars stolen, couldn't go to my brother's funeral. They were a bunch of fucking twats. They got a lot to answer for.
Are you using the solicitors based in Liverpool?
H&K.
H&K, yeah,
and they're brought out by Express, yeah.
And they've started to redact a little bit, have they?
Yeah, they've been. I'm really not. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I'm not happy with their attitude. I've got a complaint with them at the moment because I want to make sure that they're following their own rules, which they're not doing. You don't get to handpick cases. I've sent them irrefutable evidence, even of, and this is a very interesting one. I've got so much evidence, all the video footage and everything else, from the 1st of the 12th, 2022, 15 police supporting 8 bailiffs, followed by the 12th of the 12th, 2022, 25 farms officers rocking up threatening to kill us and arrested us. And it's irrefutable. On all these videos, I'm presenting them the case law. I'm presenting them everything. The fact that everything they're doing is unlawful. They're supporting civil matters. Everything about it. And it's just irrefutable. I told the solicitor about this. He got a bit excited. Told me to send all the evidence. I spent ages getting all the evidence across. Oh, I can't take on that case. So one would suspect they've been got to, because this is the case. Understand the Chester case. This exposes the mortgage fraud, which the landlord law was exposing. It exposes police assisting in civil matters. It exposes locksmiths using hammers as keys. It exposes, and that's where the CPS document comes from. That's directly from my case. They're not allowed to even push past you. Yet you had 8 of them again, and 15 police letting a bloody locksmith smash all the fucking windows with a hammer. Do you know what I mean? It's so much evidence of that. It's unbelievable. With the big one being, the reason Everett was brought in to get rid of that, the last thing they wanted in the public is all this fraudulent paperwork that's been used, because it's irrefutable. All the warrants used for that were complete fraud, to the point the Section 8 warrant they used to come with the people with the pews, that was from Carlisle, not Carlisle. And this is because there's no one doing it. There's no signatures. Men and women aren't issuing these. They're printing them off. They're self-issuing these documents. And it's complete fraud. Everyone involved in this is a starting point is 14 years under fraud. And then you've got malfeasance and all these other things that come with it. But let's not forget every one of these little Octagon Blue Army fucking scumbags. And including the judges and everyone else. And I can't reiterate this enough. They're all subverting the Constitution, of which is high treason. And therefore, all legislation is void, and we can lawfully create a militia, and take back what's ours, guys. The quickest way out of this, I must say, is enough people realise we're being fucked over and just stop paying everything, guys, and stop funding them. Understand, your council tax, you're funding these bullshit wars we don't need to be involved in. All these wars are just human sacrifices. We don't need to be doing these wars, guys. Everything belongs to the Crown as far as the Crown's concerned. You've got the Crown fighting the Crown over all these wars by design. They use the world wars, and what they're trying to push for now is another great reset. And they're using the blood sacrifices to do such a thing. And then what else does this do? They kill off the men, leaving the women there unable to defend themselves. And now what they're doing here, they're sending our guys away. And while they've got a load of foreign blokes over here that hate us, they screwed them over as much as they screwed us over. And our beliefs are not like theirs. And they're over here and they're a danger to our women and children. and it's irrefutable. How much evidence do people need when you've got your own police stopping you flying your own flag and defending paedophiles over men and women of this land? The police are not on our side anymore, guys, and this is what we've evidenced in the Bannerman videos, and this is why they don't like me. It couldn't be any more overt. They're not police constables, guys. They did their job as police constables to keep the peace. They don't do that. They're predominantly the cause of the breach of the peace when they turn up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They are criminals, guys. It's irrefutable.
I know, it's hilarious. If they weren't present at my place, there wouldn't have been a breach of the peace.
No, it's them that causes it.
Yeah.
Right? Because the frustration's there. Because they've been taught stuff and this is the thing, right? So they're very selective in how they get in. They can't be too empathetic. They can't be too intelligent, blah, 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 blah. But they're just not critical thinkers. They just don't think, they're just pure order followers, and they've been mistrained. So they think they're doing the right thing. But if you look at them, it's so obvious when you're looking at these people. I mean, back in the day, when I joined the army, and back then, you even had the police would iron their clothes, and we'd iron our clothes. And there's all these things in place in the way of discipline. Look at the police now, man. Look down on their boots. They're always dirty. They've got the sewn increases. They've got all these non-iron fucking clothes. There's no discipline, guys. You've got police women with more makeup on than the local hooker. You've got, they've all got these inflatable lick your lips, stick them on the window. And these are clear signs. When they're doing all this shit to them on the outside, control yourself, woman. When you've got all this going on the outside, this is because so within, so without. Again, look at the Joseph Murphy stuff and the Cole Young stuff. Fantastic. And so within, so without. They don't like themselves, and they're making all these external changes to try and be liked and to like themselves. But then they're projecting all their self-hatred onto the people they're meant to be helping. And this is why they've got such attitude, guys. These people don't even like themselves. I guarantee they can't look in the mirror and tell them that man or woman in the mirror that they love them. I guarantee they're not honest to that person.
Yeah.
And I say person, yeah, they
yeah. You know what?
You'll get some comment in the comment. Who said fucking person?
Yeah, you're so right. You are so right. And it's easy to lose sight of all of that when you're the one that's being targeted or being wronged, or, you know, you're living in fear in case they turn up unannounced and all that sort of stuff. You know, the inner work that some of us have done that knows that is just their inner child kicking off through their own traumas and their own self-hate, like you say. All of that goes out the window because it's down to brass tacks, isn't it? It's down to foundations. It's me against you, and I'm going to protect myself no matter what. And so which is why I think Yvonne had such an impact on you, because all she was doing was coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
Oh,
what a woman! I mean, just you saying that, it goosebumps me, because just what she done there is the game changer. And I mean, how that's just not, I don't even know how that's not still the head of the news on all social medias at the moment. Well, you know, I mean, that's a massive thing. I don't think people are realizing the significance of this. Like the capture. I mean, if you don't mind, I mean, because I think we had a brief chat and a few messages over this, didn't we, about a trip that I felt you guys missed, and you agreed with me. Because what I believe what's happened in that situation, the moment we're recognizing the living man or woman, take control. Understand, we're the equitable title owner of that full caps estate that they created. Yeah. So we're in a position there to turn around to the banker, the cashier, the judge, and order that the wolf in sheep's clothing, by the way, with the sheep thing on the head. That's what they are, wolves in sheep clothing, octagon Templars, just so you know. Why do I do it? I'll put myself off.
Order them to do what?
I've lost myself. Just remind me.
Yes. So basically, she declared herself a living woman, but she missed a trick. So
so to stand there, obviously, you've got, so understand this: the judge is acting as a public trustee. That's his position there. He's a cashier, right? So what we maybe could do once we've been recognised, it's all right of me to say it from over here, isn't it? What we could maybe do in that situation, once recognised, because they turn into a private court, don't they? They kick out security. That is the ideal time to do one or two things: either order the judge to settle the matter in full from the account, you little bitch, because that's what he is. With love. Or it could be the perfect opportunity to step into the office of father and claim back the begotten son. I've got pages of canon law on which they lean on, which confirms that the necessity is real, and also confirms if any member comes forward asking for it as a public, as in their position, they're meant to assist us to take control of it. And I believe there's three options we can do with that. You can collapse it, you can take control of it, or you can even use it still with public trustees in place and still have them doing their thing, which is the ideal setup, right?
What was the first thing you said? You could have instructed the judge to what?
Settle the matter in full, because that's all they're doing is leaning on the estate, leaning on your full caps estate. Because don't be under no uncertain terms. All these bills that are generated, they're settled within 3 months from your Sesquivia account. Look at when I think the water still do it and no one else does. You receive a bank gyro credit slip, not a debit slip, guys. Every time you're writing them anything with your signature on it, they're monetizing that. We are the creditor. I can't remember the woman's name. It's a great woman that explains all of this. We're all bankers by definition. When we go and deposit into the bank, if I go and deposit £1,000 to the bank, I just loaned the bank interest-free £1,000. They ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
Think about it, guys. You go down, right? You've got no money in your bank. You ask the bank for a loan. It's all done remotely. And you do a remote signature. And then suddenly 100 grand appears. Did like 100 grand's worth of gold appear? I think not. People must have realised. Look at your £20 note or your 10 or your 5. It's I promise to pay. There is no sterling. It ain't backed, guys. They screwed us. They absolutely. There's no intrinsic value. And this is the divide in the world right now, right? You've got China and you've got Russia. They've gone back to gold-backed currency. They've got an intrinsic value to it. I believe we're leaning on the weight of the dollar, and that's worth about as much as a used bit of toilet paper. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not backed by anything. We are the backing. We are the blood and sweat equity. We're the backing of all of this, guys. And this is why when we go to prison, I can't remember I paraphrase, but the literal definition of a prisoner or going to prison is you're basically being held as a surety bond until the debt's settled. It's fucking mad. Honestly. Yeah. I know all the comments, like I get loads of hate because my bet I win my berry. Fuck everyone. It's funny as fuck. But it does make me laugh. Because like I say to people, if I went back, if I was speaking to this version of me, like nearly 6 years ago when I was a pisshead and weren't into all this, I'd probably kick my head in. Seriously. I think you're fucking weirdo. Get away from me, you village idiot. It's kind of crazy. But this is the thing, right? When our knowledge supersedes other people, when you know more than someone else, you sound like a crazy person. Been many great people in history that come up with stuff. Because it's outside the norm, you sound fucking crazy. And I appreciate this. But people can't get past the berry. It does amuse me. They can't listen to the word. Who's got berries of water mitty? I ain't a fucking water mitty. But just look into this, guys. This is nothing that anyone now can't literally go and check. Go over to go over to that drawer in the kitchen that's full of all your fucking bills you can't face and start looking how it's written. It's all capitals or Mr. and Mrs. It ain't you. It's not your liability, people.
Just to add to that, so sort of coming back into the legal world, if you like, and the way that it's been set up, we all know that the world was made bankrupt in 1933, I think it was. We all know that the money system got absolutely hijacked and all the backing taken away. And as you said, they're just promises to pay these bits of paper that we think have got value. They've got no value, but it does allow us to work in the world and buy things and and all that sort of stuff. But the way that the debt system has been created, actually, it's been hijacked in as much as us plebs have not been given the knowledge of how to work the system. That knowledge is only given in probably the likes of Eton and all those, toffee colleges and universities and all the rest of it, and private schools. If we were aware of the full workings of this debt system, all debt is paid by the Federal Reserve in America. It's all by the IRS in America. It's all managed by there. If we knew how to do it, if we were given the education, we can basically claim back all of our payments that go out of our bank. We can claim back our mortgages at face value. We can claim all that back. That is all perfectly legal.
Sorry to interject. With that, look into it, guys. This whole Missouri judge, I look a bit deeper than I have, because I believe there might be something here between that and the Yvonne Watson case that everybody's got. I reckon we could accumulate something or do something here where people can go back and make a genuine claim through the indemnity of their bank and get all their money back from these things. Because it was fraud's been committed, and you just realised, and therefore that told you to get your money back, right?
Well, the way that it works is like every transaction that comes out of your account, if that's not recouped, it's classed as an abandoned security.
Yeah.
So what you can do is basically you can um, you basically tell the IRS that you are the nominee, because if it's left abandoned for 3 years, yeah, then the bank will just assume the position of nominee. They nominate themselves to be the nominee, right? Because we
Yeah.
don't know any better. We don't do it. So that's what's been happening for decades and decades and decades. So once you make your first recoupment claim directly with the IRS, or whether you go through a company that are offering the service to do that, you then alert the IRS that all of a sudden you, the pleb, now has become your own nominee, and therefore the bank has no more claim on your abandoned securities. So you from that moment on can keep claiming year after year after year and getting all your money back. That is a thing. And
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm not sold on the whole America thing in the UCC and our attachment to that, if I'm honest. I'm still not on that. I'm now actually finally removing my ignorance a bit on this because it keeps coming full circle on me. On that, I believe we've got our own version here and everything else. But that's splitting hairs. The principalities, I believe, are still exactly the same what you're saying. I did have an interesting conversation, however, with my bank some months ago, right? I called up the bank and I had the middleman and they were talking to the corporate department. First thing they couldn't get around is the fact that my account is a business account. I was like, well, why's that? And I said, well, it's if you look at how you've done my name, it's in full capitals. And I went through the fact, is it an acronym? If it is, I'd love to know what every letter means. And it's certainly not finger spelling. Therefore, the only thing left in the English language is it's a corporation. Let's move on. And I said, when you look at the Lord Denning stuff and all the legislation out there, that a promissory note is money. It's worth, it's just as good and just as usable as a £20 note. So when you start looking at these things, so I said to the bank about it, so I want to come down. I want to put. I haven't tried this, by the way, because obviously most wanted. I want to come and deposit £100,000 promissory note, and I want you to credit my account. And I went through the motions of that. And long and short, by the end of the conversation, they told me, yeah, you need to go to this bank or this bank. They'll take you into a back room. Someone will have a chat with you. They'll have a look at it. If they're not satisfied, they'll get someone else to have a look. If they're satisfied, they'll credit the account. I've not tried this yet, but I think it might be worth someone trying this, because obviously what we could do there, we could easily wrap up a little package there based on their rules and laws and legislations and everything they've given us to confirm that a promissory note is money. And then the bank hasn't really got an excuse not to cash it. Another thing that could be worth exploring is getting that relationship with the bank manager, because these promissory notes that we know they're floating on the stock market, is maybe just let them know that I want X amount. You put on whatever interest you want and take what you want, and make it very lucrative for the bank manager. These are possible conversations worth exploring, because no more can anyone deny the separation between the full cap's name and the thing, the full cap's name and the living woman, and no one can deny the legislation and what's there in black and white about a promissory note. So when we start to sew these things together, I think we might be able to start getting a result here. And this is where I believe what's going on with we're getting certain people put in place, like you want, like the Judge Searles and this Missouri case. And I think what they're doing is those that have got the open minds and the eyes to see, they're giving us little trinkets to sew together to pluck away out the system. And those that aren't, this is where it's going to be demolition, man. We're going to be able to live on the underground. And then you've got all the people just walking around, just being completely controlled above, who are just walking into it voluntarily. Because let's not forget, this all has to be voluntarily, because they're karmic principles. It was with the jab and everything else. We have to volunteer ourselves into this. And this is why we keep accidentally volunteering ourselves, because we're good slaves and we think it's the right thing to do this and do that. So we'll sign up and get a license. We'll sign up and pay tax. We'll fucking give our children away. We'll fucking sign up. All these things, like, it's kind of crazy when you realize it. When you think about it, really, everything really fundamentally boils down to contract law, doesn't it? Right?
yeah.
The contract law and consent.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you realize that your mortgage was never a valid contract, it just gets
You mean
worse.
your death pledge?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It just the fraud is off the scale. And the majority of people have no idea and just think, well, you're just trying to get something for nothing. Why don't you just pay your mortgage like everybody else?
Oh, these idiots. Well, let's paint a picture to them, right? So all these people listening to this, and they're, you fucking pay your bills, and they're fucking idiots, man. It's normally 7-7. It's quite simple, right? If you went up a it's 100 grand downstairs, right? Can you lend me 100 grand? And then the middleman that's doing the paperwork, I'll give you 20 grand, right? And I'll give you 5% interest on the loan you give me. That's fair commerce. But what they're doing, guys, you never own the fucking house. You never have that, because no one's wrapping up the title deeds properly or the land registry properly. You don't actually own the property, and this is the problem people don't realise. Same as the cars, you don't own your car. You just get to use it. So what people don't realise is when they want to get their basically to go and get the loan, the mortgage, this is what happens. And I've never got one, but I know the system. So what they would have done, the original contract, there wasn't both parties in the room at the same time.
No.
There wasn't a date on top of it, and you didn't have a meeting of the minds and all agreed to that contract at the same time. It's void from the get go. What is that you've signed? You created a promissory note, and then that's what's created the value. So that, let's say 300 grand that to go and buy the house never existed until you came along, took out the G, you signed basically. And then that created the promise note on which now is the intrinsic value. You created that credit, leaned on your estate of, let's say, the 300 grand. Now you get to pay back the money you created with interest. So, and if someone listens to that and thinks, oh, and they're still okay with it, then you deserve to get fucked over. But this is the reality of it, guys. It's not clean commerce. No one would have an issue going there saying, right, bank lend me 300 quid. The bank actually lends you 300 quid, which they don't do. Because when you go back to how all this fraud started, they was keeping all the gold and silver in the bank or whatever. And then people were doing these little promissory notes, and they realized pretty quick nobody was coming back and cashing these promissory notes. So what they've done is they figured out they will keep 10% of all the gold and silver stock here, and the rest we can just fucking loan out. And then that's what they're doing, guys. So each time that you're basically creating like your money with your signature, they go to the Bank of England that's not English, not based in England, and then now allow them to lend out 10 times the value of the value that you created. It's just debt upon debt upon debt. So in the UC language, we're in the UC part of bankruptcy, and it's all it is, guys, is debt offsetting debt. And the elites, the parasites, know this. This is why they start businesses with no money and are asset rich. They're not cash rich, they're asset rich. And this is how they know how to offset loans and use bankruptcy and do all these things to get rich and get assets. They just know how to play the game.
Well, one step on from that, most people now, well, I say most people in our area of the world, in terms of people that have woke up over the last few years, you know, the likes of Scottish Power do not supply any gas or electric. They are merely an invoicing company, and that's all they are. And it's the same with your mortgage company, even if it's somebody like Barclays or Lloyds or whatever, because what happens, or my understanding is, because of there's a tax exemption on your mortgage, right? But if that liability or asset stays with your mortgage company for more than 3 months, then the tax liability kicks in. So what happens is your promissory note that you just mentioned, basically gets sent off to what's known as an indentured trustee, usually in New York City. It gets presented as a promissory note, and I'm probably going to fuck this up, excuse my French, but it gets presented at either the Federal Reserve or the Treasury. I can't remember which one. I think it's the Federal Reserve. And it gets securitized, and that's when we know that the mortgage bonds get securitized, they get bundled, and then they get monetized for many, many years, and for at least 9 times the value of the mortgage, etc. So that's fairly common knowledge. But what isn't common knowledge is that your mortgage company have no liability and no asset for your mortgage. So when we try and settle our mortgage with a promissory note, they won't do it, because the liability and the asset doesn't lie with somebody like Barclays. It lies with the indentured trustee out in New York City. That's where the personal liability comes in.
Yeah. However, right. So whether people have done it correctly or not with the promissory note, this is where the rules of commerce come into play, right? Because it's quite simple. No one's returned those instruments, those financial instruments to people within 72 hours.
Yeah.
And therefore it's payment accepted. And if they decline it, the burden of the debt lands back on them anyway. So whichever way you cross-section this, because they've not done it correctly and they haven't got clean hands, if you settled it with a promissory note and they've not returned it, it is settled.
Yeah.
And there's loads of accounts of this where people have sent a promissory note off for maybe electrical, for this and that and the other. And then when they do a DSAR, they can see the account's been credited. This is legit, guys.
Yeah, well, I did something similar, and I've had those notes tracked, and it's come back that they've been securitized. These notes that weren't going to be used and weren't returned and weren't officially rejected and all that sort of stuff. They have actually been securitized. But you try and make a big deal out of that. It don't happen. Nobody's interested.
It's because we're not making enough noise. There's not enough. It's like little pockets of noise going out. There's not enough people on board now. Sorry, my brain works in mysterious ways. Just this little side note, I do believe there's a village down south somewhere. The council have now, I heard about this yesterday. The council is now stopped sending debt collectors after council tax. Just people might want to look into that little side note. Sorry. Back onto track what you were saying. Sorry. Oh, a nightmare.
Yeah, I was talking about the indentured trustee and the fact that the mortgage company holds no liability or asset.
Mm.
And we were talking about the promissory notes that have been tracked and securitized as, yeah.
Well, I think this is where like they're good game to play. I mean, it's having a big effect a couple of years back. A little trick people are missing, I think, is when you're gunning for these people, gun for the man or the woman. Don't gun for the corporation. All right. Make sure you're capturing the man or the woman in their personal capacity to go for them, guys. It changes the whole dynamic with this. Because it's all about ask King the right questions, right? And that's how we close these down. So get your affidavits out and all this lot, because what's left stands in law. And although we're struggling right now for remedy, because all the courts are corrupt, all the courts are corrupt in this country. All of them, even the High Court, they're all corrupt. The King's Bench, they're a bunch of fucking criminals and all. I've done that dance with them, I got fucked about by them. They're a bunch of fucking dicks down there and all. In fact, every one of you Barmer member societies, you're dicks. Just want you to know that. Because you're satanic arseholes and you're serving the wrong entity and you're going to come unstuck. There's a timeline, it's going to roll out. The biggest thing we could all do in ourselves at the moment is add our 10 pence worth to the collective consciousness, and then contribute towards a 100 monkey effect. It's about this work on self and this inner child stuff. We've all got so much unresolved trauma, whether you know it or not, whether you think you had the perfect life or not, if you wasn't loved correctly by a parent, wasn't emotionally available, or you was physically abused and all this kind of stuff, it all leaves all these voids, and it's all done by design to rip us far away from the soul and what we really are. Even to the point we're all completely fucked when it comes to disease and illnesses and this kind of stuff. A lot of the time we're sick, it's the healing phase from a biological program, which I'm learning about now. I come across a real interesting channel on a guy. What was his name? Forget his name. I think it's Bill. What was his fucking Bill's Mind? I think might be a little channel he's got. But this guy's got quite good information because he pointed me towards, and I'll be looking into the German new medicine. And when you start looking at this and go up into the top left-hand corner, go into the search bar, go and look alphabetically, and what you'll find there, these issues we've got, it will tell you what the biological program is. It's a constant shock factor. So let me give you an example. So like with cancer, you'll have the doctor will diagnose you with cancer, and then you've got the biological shock system, and it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because of you've been told you've got 6 months to live, therefore you only live for 6 months. When reality is, it isn't that. It's about overcoming the biological shock factor, maybe what that's attached to your childhood trauma. And these things can literally be talked through, and you can cure cancers and cure these things by talking through and resolving the actual shock factor. And this is what we're not getting. So when we're ill, it's actually the healing phase in a lot of cases. Some things, obviously, broken legs, but different story. But a lot of these illnesses and things we have, it really is down to a shock factor in a biological program. So that's definitely worth people looking into. German new medicine. It was another one that got killed off. The 3 places I would go look right now, if I was anybody and want to evolve, is Joseph Murphy. He explains well about the subconscious mind, that we are gods. And by doing the work internally, this is what changes the external. He's got loads of examples of that. Because obviously the subconscious mind is what's driving everything. It's what makes your heart beat. It's what makes your blood pump. It's what does all that stuff without you thinking, right? And this is why we do shadow boxing, or you're driving and you don't remember the journey because your subconscious done it, because you've done it enough. And that's a survival mechanism. So it's retraining that. So the Joseph Murphy stuff, massively immense. The Cole Young stuff, he's another great one. Dr. Cole Young with a J, J-U-N-G. And he explains about the childhood trauma and connects it all in. And then you've got the German new medicine. And all 3 of these, when you look into these, they all connect into each other. And then you suddenly realize we thought we was lied to. We thought we knew stuff when this whole jab come out about viruses and everything else. This is next level, people. Absolutely next level. I'm in the learning process, so I struggle and still battle between the indoctrination and this at the moment. But these are definitely rabbit holes people need to go down. I need to try and reach out and get hold of this guy again, because some of the information he was saying, I think it needs to get out in the public. And it'll be good to get him on some people's platforms, actually. I'll have to reach out to him.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So just before we close up, that document I shared, was there anything else that you wanted to specifically?
Oh no, I think we covered God's truth, and that was it. And I went off on a fucking tangent. All right.
Let me
There's
share
nothing
it
really. I
again.
mean, this is really eyes on because I'm not prepared, and I should have had one printed off. It's really just. I mean, what specifically would you like me to cover on there?
Well, anything that, because you said obviously it's redacted, but anything that you wanted to really bring to the viewer's attention, really, in terms of what, okay, so you've done this declaration of standing.
Yeah.
What, in layman's terms, what does that mean?
Well, basically, what this means it's a lawful assertion and grace decree. I'm making my final stance, my final statement, because everything's been unrebutted, basically. But I'm trying to use different languages because I don't like their language. It's gay, so it's and satanic. So I just tried using a different language here. I've just consolidated all my notices and kind of landed it because what you're going to see in this, little things I'll point out. So I want to explain like the way. I don't know if you can see. No, how do we do this? Right.
Well, I'm
So
sharing
I'm the
it.
correct
I'm
one.
sharing it on the screen.
Number one rule of commerce, right? The creator is the controller. I created my document. So what you'll notice is I haven't got any witnesses. All I've got is the Almighty God as my sole witness. So I don't need anybody else. I don't need anybody to confirm that I signed it because I was there when I did it. So all these stupid fucking rules that they put on, they're not relevant to me. And this is why I've made sure it's God's truth and I've changed the whole language in it because it's no uncertain terms. They need to know that I know the fraud. It's evidence throughout this document and all the paperwork I've sent them. They've got no jurisdiction. They're dead. They're subordinate. They're inferior compared to me. These men acting as corporation. They're scum. They're nothing compared to me or you or anybody else. We are in our own right gods. We're a splice of God, and they can't touch us. Fuck them. Gone off on a tangent again. You're going to see it again. Really, it's a hard one to go through because I wasn't really prepped for this. Just go through it, guys. Really, and then find me and ask questions if you need questions. I'm just trying to think any bits to highlight on this. So you'll notice what I do is I sign off Christ Michael of the house of. Right, the house that I use isn't my surname. I use a different one. However, your family name, don't sign off as the family name. That's a dupe. Sign it off your Christian name of the house of your surname. And that house of, that trust, they already created the full caps name, guys. And understand your position in this scenario is you're acting as the last and power of attorney over the dead entity because it can't talk, it hasn't got mental capacity. You're acting as attorney in fact, AIF. You're also the equitable title owner and the beneficiary of the full caps estate. Know your position, guys.
I just need to quickly say, as you were saying that, for some reason I looked at the time. It was 11:11, and today is 11:11.
Down, 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 down. Goose bumping, goose bumping. This is it, guys. The sooner people realise this, even if, I mean, for God's sake, guys, even if you're new to this, just the whole, just if nothing else but the Yvonne Watson case, that has to tickle your curiosity. There is a difference between the full caps name and there is a difference between that and the living man or woman. And the sooner you get your heads around that, the rest should just sort of slot into place. There's something, guys, there's something not right there. You need to look at this. Look at the different things. You got one thing. What was his name? I can't remember his name. Panny, he was doing this stuff, and he was bringing stuff out of the lower courts into the next court up into judiciary because of the language. Because don't forget, the language denotes the jurisdiction, guys. And at the moment, you're walking into a court where they're using Black Law's dictionary, and we're not, and they're laughing at us, and they're all on the same side. Even the prostitute, the solicitor, stood next to you. Ain't on your side, guys. Their hands are bound by the SOA regulations, the Little Gay Society there, and the Bar Society. They're bound by that. And I'm the first-hand witness to this, that solicitors get got to as soon as they even try to do anything outside the norm. The solicitors won't stand under the Constitution, guys. They won't do that. All these constitutional arguments are kind of pointless because they dismiss it all. So, but there's plenty of ammunition within their legal to go against God to use against them. Like Yeshua used to do in these courts. He will stand under natural law and God's law. And you'll see me in the Banana Man videos, the way I articulate myself, I refer to their their laws, your rules, because it is their man-made bullshit. If it's man-made, guys, I am fucking interested. God embedded the law into my heart and mind. It's called my conscious mind. We know when we've done wrong, guys, and it's as simple as that. So let's stop hating on each other, right? Who cares if matey boy bums another man or whatever, or that person thinks they're a flip-flop? That's a whole other conversation we need to have. Right, let everyone do what they want. At the end of the day, everyone do what you want. Sit in your house, dress as a penguin, identify as a black lesbian fucking flip-flop. Do what you want, right? Injecting yourself with crack, right? It's fine, right? I'm not recommending any of this, but the point is, the problem comes. Well, let me word it a different way, probably better language. My freedoms end when another person starts. And that crossover is the meeting of the minds where we start to contract. And it's as simple as that, guys. Do what you want as long as you're not fucking hurting no one or ripping people off. And that is what law is. Legal is here's a set of rules. If you don't do it, we're going to tell you off and fine you. And then it's all taxation, just in different formats. And you've got the police put a while the end policy enforcers, and they're just the Crown's revenue collectors. And they're scum.
Amazing. Yeah, totally agree. You've said a couple of things today that have got my mind whirring in terms of what I'm going to be doing next. So thank you for that. Would you class yourself as spiritual and religious, or just spiritual?
You can't have both. It's impossible. If you're religious, you're not getting it. All religion, they weaponize Jesus' name and the true teachings of Jesus to create religion, and all these religions are satanically hijacked. They're all forms of control, guys. The God that most churches are worshipping are the demigods from the first Bible, whatever it's called, and they're multiple plural gods. They're demigods. They're inferior gods, and it's worshipping the wrong one. If you think about it, a dog is the best depiction of God. It's all love and it's high vibe. It's unconditional love. It's loyal to you. And it's everything you would be if you was an all powerful, mighty being that didn't need or want for anything.
Yeah.
Not the one that they depict, which is live a life full of guilt and all this lot. This is the satanic program, guys. So they want us all trapped in shame and guilt. And this is hell on earth. This is hell when we're stuck in that perpetual cycle of guilt and regret and all this kind of stuff. And this is why the most important person on this planet that you can ever build a relationship with, if no one else, is the man or the woman in the mirror. Be honest to that person, if no one else.
Yeah.
Find some love for that person. And it's a fucking weird journey doing this, guys. When you start doing affirmations in the mirror to yourself and all that, you won't believe it at first, but just do it. Get on the Joseph Murphy stuff, guys. Yeah. Let's level up, kick around with a smile on our face and collapse this fucking shit show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because remember, guys, no's a full sentence, and it just takes enough people to stop paying everything, and it's game over because they've got no funding.
Yeah, I know, but it always takes. It's like the bell curve. There's always like the leaders, isn't there? And then the masses start to catch up.
Yeah.
So
can I just jump on that little thing there? Because that's a great analogy. If you like, right, we're kind of here, we're at a bit of a blockade, right? Everyone's slipping onto this road of truth because they don't want to pay council tax anymore. They can't afford it because this doesn't seem right, because that doesn't seem right. And everyone's slipping onto this road of truth. Some people know about the truth of Hitler, some don't. And everyone's slowly getting there. And there's starting to be a blockade. But where they've overstretched the mark now is a thing that everyone can see, where the immigration is now affecting the safety of our women and children and these common denominations. And it's these things now which are going to bring us on side, no matter what your walk of life is, anti-vaxxer, vaxxer, doesn't matter what you are, guys. We've all been lied to about fucking everything. And I mean everything, about viruses, about illnesses, about history, about who we are, about what we are, about what our potential is. Everything is being lied to from the indoctrination camps called school. And that's just how it is, guys. Right? We all shit and bleed. We're all on the same team. We're essentially all the same being, having a different experience from a different perspective of ourselves. And that's that, really. So to be a twat to someone else is to be a twat to yourself. It's kind of one of those guys. We're all just constantly firing from our childhood programs, and I'm terrible for it. And it's just about taking that breath, I think, and just realizing, let's just help the man and woman to the right. It doesn't matter if you've got the same beliefs or not. It's called dialectic thinking, guys. You can agree to disagree and still be friends. All right. Just because he supports that and I support that, it doesn't mean we can't work together, guys. The one thing we can all agree on, please, if nothing else, is the fucking children. What have they done? What have the children done? And they're being satanically raped and ritualistically abused and murdered and kidnapped all around this planet. And in this country, guys. It's not just things happening in America. This is happening all the time. All your famous people, they're probably the fallen angels. And this is probably where it starts to sound crazy. But it's true. And there's a lot of due diligence you can do there to prove all of that. Hollywood is the wood that they make wands out of to cast spells. So from Hollywood, you're getting channeled and programmed by the television, and this is all by design, guys. And then you got the government meant is mind. You got the government controlling our minds because on paper we're classed as infants, and it's as simple as that. We're classed as babies and infants, guys. And this is about, if you want to be sovereign, it's about being responsible, grown up. Being sovereign isn't about to run around and shout stuff and be a dick to police and stuff. Being sovereign is pure responsibility and accountability for yourself and your actions. That if you do a wrongdoing, you make amends for it, and you know you've done wrong. It's like that emotional mind. I do something, I say something. Normally out of anger, we do it out of anger because that is one of them things, and then out of a reaction, and then it could be minutes later, weeks later, whenever. Suddenly we get that little voice. Oh shit! I shouldn't have said that, and I feel bad. And that's your logical mind, the sensible side you're catching up. Because think about it, they force us all to be right-handed to keep us in the left part of the mind. They don't want us to be left-handed and be right-minded. That's the masculine and the feminine, right? They don't want that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wise words indeed. I wanted to share something. I wasn't going to do this, but I just feel called to do it, and I think you'll be receptive to it. So, a friend of mine a few weeks back started sending me some stuff, and he had done a translation in the Aramaic language of the Lord's Prayer. So the Lord's Prayer, as we all know it, is obviously all about there's sin in there, and it's been inverted, right? So I just want to read this, and happy to send you a copy, but I think it's good for the viewers as well and the listeners. So this is the translation. Obviously, it's only one translation. It doesn't mean it's the translation because everything. So, O source and breath of all life, awaken within us the light of your presence. May your sacred vibration be hallowed through our awareness. Let your kingdom, your living unity arise within our hearts. Let your will, your flowing harmony be done in us, as in the heavens of pure being, so in the earth of form. Grant us each day the bread of presence, the awareness that feeds the soul. Loosen the knots that bind us in forgetfulness as we free others from the bonds of our judgments. Do not let us fall into the sleep of unawareness. Deliver us from illusion and division. For from you flows the realm, the power, the glory, the ever-living song, renewing itself in every moment. May it awaken in us, may it awaken us all.
That is lovely. However, I'm going to put a little span in the works. These are listening to Joseph Murphy stuff. We're all praying wrong. We don't want to be praying out there, guys. We want to be praying inside. This is God's temple. God resides within. We're all God. But that is a beautiful prayer.
Well, we can still do that internally. It's like an affirmation, isn't it?
That is lovely. Yeah.
If it resonates.
No, it does. And I'll tell you what, the other really beautiful one, and I dig that out as well, really good one. That Yvonne Watson prayer as well. That was a cheeky little number.
Have you heard the song?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it was put into a song. It's on Spotify, and right now, I can't remember because they changed the name. They gave it a certain name. Yeah, I'll have to send it.
This is AI because they got obviously with AI and everyone doing these little things like these memes of me at the moment. I was like, yeah, it's funny as fuck. Toby is like the meme king, meme king.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Steve Forsyth shared these amazing words with me about like the true reality of what Remembrance Day is about and how they've got us doing their satanic stuff without realising on that date and what it's really about and about it being blood sacrifice. So I shared that on Facebook, and then Toby, he stuck it with his AI, and it turned it into a really cool song. I'll ping that over to you in a minute.
Oh, okay, cool. Just as you mentioned Steve Forsyth, he must have, as you're in touch with him, he must have mentioned this to you about the copper that said to him that he's awake to what's going on and he loves you.
Yeah, I've got a copper super fan. It's funny as fuck. Honestly, it's so mental, man. My life is so surreal. It's just honestly when just thinking about this last. I mean, my entire life's been pretty fucking mental, but it's 4 years. It's just been fucking insane. It is just madness.
This last year. Yeah.
Do you know what? I didn't again. What I didn't expect like loads of people to know my ugly little mug in my little. You know what I mean? This was never the plan. I just plodded along, doing what I do, talking a bit of truth, spitting a few words, doing a few actions, and here we are. It's kind of crazy, man.
It is crazy. But let me thank you again for everything you've done. I mean, I think you have been the main, I would say, probably the main player that has educated people from those videos, you know, where
See,
you've been reading stuff, you've been educating the police, you've been and because it's all been captured, and obviously Bannerman's been brilliant at documenting this and putting it out there, people are like, Jesus Christ, you know, and that's been the sort of, I think anyway, has been the one of the main things that's allowed the snowball to get bigger.
that's been the catalyst, is because I've systematically got my shit together and I've taken them for a journey on the videos, which is irrefutable. There's the rope, and they've gone and hung themselves. And this is, let's be honest, this is why they're gunning for me, because they don't want all that out there. It is what it is, and obviously I really love the compliments, but I still struggle to take them, because I know there's a lot more people doing a lot more work than me out there, a hell of a lot more work than me. I've done a little bit here and there, and I popped up and I made my little ripples, but and I appreciate the compliments, but I mean I do get the imposter syndrome, same as most, I think. And I've done my bit, but I don't really sit and dwell in it. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, and thank you for your time again today. It's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And, yeah. Happy days.
Take care.
Well, that's it, really. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for having me on again. This is probably one of my more coherent interviews. We've got I'm coming at an LSB soon, and fucking I'm shitting myself on that one there. I was all over the shop on that.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. We always think it's like when you do an exam and you think you're shite and then you do really well in it. It's one of them, isn't it? You're just in a different, like, almost parallel reality sort of thing. So
yeah.
All right,
anyone interested on Rumble as well? On Rumble,
hey?
I popped up on Rumble on his latest thingy. On David Clues UNN. I'm on that as well, doing a little
David
thing.
Clues.
If anybody wants to interview me, just reach out. I was trying to stay in the private, trying to stay in the public, trying to keep my face out there. The police want my face out there, so here's my face. And I will keep truth bombing it. I don't really give a shit. There's no truth or exposed. Come at me, kill me, do what you want. The end is the beginning.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Signing off.
No worries. Much love, man. Take care, sister.